Hi, welcome to Coffee with Kim. I'm Kim Bassett, your host. And in this time of season of love, we are joined with a guest today who I believe really embodies that.
Today on Coffee with Kim, joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada is Amy Frost. Amy has an MB and MA in spiritual psychology. She's a speaker, trainer, radio and podcast host, life management coach, career coach, and author. Amy is an honored facilitator of love and healing in many organizations throughout Las Vegas, where she and her husband are actively impacting many lives. Amy's passion for supporting good people doing good work in their lives and at work using cutting-edge tools as well as tried and true tools and techniques to stay calm in adversity, to be productive, successful, optimistic, and happy. Amy is known to quote, "I am busy being love." Please join me in welcoming Amy to Coffee with Kim.
Hi, welcome.
It's an honor to be here, as always. Anytime I have a conversation with you, we never know where the heck we're going to go in a good way.
I know, in a really good way. And we were having a conversation and it was starting, and I was like, nope, we got to start this recording because you really truly are the word love to me. You're the being of love.
Oh.
And so I really, wanted you to be on here today as we talked about this subject. Valentine's Day, is here, the season of love, and you see all the hearts and the flowers and everything around us. But I've also had times in my life and other people I've known in their life where the Valentine's or that season of love, I want it to extend all through the year, but there's people that struggle with that. And I thought it would be good for you to come on with your huge, vast experience and all that you facilitate and all that you do for people. So you've been on here before, I know. We were talking with, Angels of Las Vegas, the work that you do there, which you do work all over this city. But I want them to hear more of the story just of you. And then let's get into this, whatever transpires in this conversation.
You get grace above us.
We do. And I was going to mention that, I learned that word last year, truly, when I was living with my son and helping them during that critical time of their life. And a nurse and friend that came in one day, she's like, "Kim, give yourself some grace." And I really learned in a very different level expectation. But I do. And then when I met you and you're all about that word, I was like, oh, we're soul sisters.
Absolutely. And it's really fun. I think we're all finding each other, because we're really being called to step up to what we came here to do. And I really believe we are not supposed to do it alone. And grace, I think, is kind of what I'm getting at the moment is like the door to love. Hey, grace passed the way. Because I think love is easy. I think love is who we are. I think, but it's coded in crap. And so that's, I think grace helps us to clear the crap because love is already there, It's like God is already there. It's like, it's like, I need God, help me. It's like, I'm already here. It's like,
yeah.
Like you're the one that connected,
Yeah.
That's, as much as anything, right? It's like in that space.
So how did you get started in this space? You have an amazing story.
And then there's so many different facets. So it depends on which part we'll go. So we'll go with this and, for the moment. And first I'm going to say, I'm really honored to be here. And I thought we were just having a conversation and I have on no makeup. And this is just the raw me, girl. So
you know what? But you would never know that. You have such a love and a light that comes from you.
Oh.
So it's okay to be raw and who we are.
I trust you.
Definitely.
So that's what I'm here. And that's part of love through, right? Is that trust, and so all right, geez, so many parts. So I have memories of being about 6 months old, and
Wow.
yeah, being in the crib crying, and okay, I'm gonna go a little crazy here. My higher self with me, and this is me as as an adult going back and doing visualizations
Yeah.
and all the looking for memories, and my higher self was talking to me and saying, "Why are you crying? You choose to come here, you know." Okay, it's all gonna be fine. It's just that you're gonna find your way. And so I guess I've always had this knowing, always. And I remember being a young child, and I really don't remember how old I was. And a lot of things I'm saying, I probably never said to anybody or just a handful of people. So here we go. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
So I was really young, and I don't remember the context or anything else, but I remember turning off my phone. I'll give you that. And that that I stood and like put, and we've talked about, they say putting a stake in the ground or whatever, and this
Mhm.
especially with Flower for Living, and this is my stake and what I'm planning. But I remember thinking that I had this amazing power, and that I realized I could use it for good or for evil. And at that moment I declared, I choose to use it for good. And that's just always kind of been go back to what is of course, then it's like, what is good, and how do you be good in the world, and how do you make sense of that? And
Yeah.
so my father convinced me that I needed a really secure job, and so I started working for the federal government at 18. And
Wow.
oh yeah, and that was really hard to get in. And as a matter of
Okay,
fact,
he was military. Did that help at all?
no, totally independent systems,
Okay.
and so, as a matter of fact, I was always gonna go to college. That was never a question for me, because, my uncle had died of a brain tumor, and my aunt was pretty young with young kids, and she really struggled, and I watched that and go, "That ain't happening to me." So I was always gonna make sure I could take care of my family, so college was a choice. But I got out of college and I started working for the, Nebraska Tractor and Equipment Company. And I remember that really well, because I was answering the phone, and every morning is, "Good morning, it's Nebraska Tractor and Equipment Company." And in the afternoon, "Good afternoon." That really drilled in my head. And so
Yeah.
while I was waiting, I had filled out this paperwork and everything to work for the federal government. And that took months, and that's, security clearances, blah, blah, blah. And so finally it came through. And so, well, another part of this. So I was called in for an interview, and I went in, and they're like, "Great, we want to hire you right away." Well, it was a part-time job. And I was like, no, I really, I was putting myself through school. I really couldn't do it, but it was really hard, because there was a part of me was like, oh, you should just really take it. And so then I went back to work, and I was very open with everybody what I was doing, and they were very relieved that I wasn't going to take it. And then, in fact, the owner of the company came in. He asked me to come in, and he had this big bottle of Tums on his desk, and he'd lived on those. And I'm watching
Oh,
that, and he's like, "You could really do things in this company, and you could." And I'm like, that's the goal."
yeah. Eat Tums?
It's like, I don't know, so let me think about it. But
Mhm.
I was really kind of heartbroken, but I knew that wasn't right. And then literally the next day, I got another call for a full-time job with the government. And I went and had the interview, and, and it was hard telling him, and it was kind of a hard
Yeah.
choice. But I knew, again, stake in the ground, this is what I'm feeling supposed to do. So I worked full time, highly classified, work, I mean, very stressful, and went to school at night. And I did that for 7.5 years to get my BS in business, which I've always had
Wow.
a really strong heart for business.
Yeah.
And then I entered into an intern program in contracting. Was a 5-year program. It was a very elite program, and we had people from all over the country apply for it. And I always do my due diligence. You and I are a lot alike. We are the same person in many ways. I talked to people all over the country who had been in the program, and I asked them, what kind
Mhm.
of questions are they going to ask me, and how do I prepare? And there's hundreds and hundreds of people that applied. They only chose like 3, and I was one of them. I think it was their top one. But again, I was determined. I did the work I needed to do. And then so I'm doing that, and I'm working on my MBA, and did that in 3.5 years at night. And and they're throwing in relationships in.
Yes. Well,
Once
yeah,
in a
those
while,
those hap Those happen too.
It's like, that, and I am a work addict. I admit that freely. But in order to do, if you look at my resume, you'd never believe it. But in order to do that, with being in that space, that all consuming, I'm on purpose, I'm on fire. And for me, it's always been about that. That's really, to me, what love in action is. I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. And in the early 90s, I was well in my, I was going to go to DC. I mean, I was getting promotion every year to be, contracting God.
Yeah.
And in 91, my husband, Tom, died in Desert Storm. And I was like, and I loved him, but our relationship wasn't that great because we were both too busy with our careers and our education and not really with each other. And I was in my mid 30s then. And that was like, oh, that really just like, you have these
Yeah.
spiritual awakenings. And that was my time. And then about then I
So
started,
was that your aha moment?
I've had many of them,
We do.
but that was this one in particular. And I don't know exactly where we're going. And of course we can have many conversations, but at that time it was like, like you get an atomic bomb in the center of your life. Who am I now? Do I eat at the same restaurants? Do I like the same things? Does my path still matter to me? And so that's when and this was long before anybody else was saying it, I started hearing spirituality at work. And I didn't know what that was. I never heard it. I never heard anybody talking about it. And I was, had started working on, no, that was about 94. I started working on my master's in spiritual psychology. And the reason I did that, it was like, I had a lot of grief and a lot of guilt about what did and didn't happen with my husband. And I kept burning out counselors. They couldn't handle me. And I got to the point where I was counseling them. And I'm thinking, I'm paying you. He's like, I might as well go get the education.
Yeah.
So I did that. So I went and it for me, it was my own work. And it was a 2-year program. It was very intense. And for me, it was like, I treated it as a workshop every weekend. It was a weekend format. So I could work, at the same time, because that's
Right.
what good workaholic.
No, but I love that you're saying that, because for me, myself as well, right? The work that I have done on myself, I mean, that's what allows me to give to others and to help others.
Yeah. And the bottom line is, you're going to give me a degree, I'm taking it. But it was like,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it for that. I did it, for my own healing and my own learning. And part of that was, I was so good in the business world that I had become very much like the rest of the boys, because you had to be. And I really knew how to come from the masculine energy. And I didn't understand what feminine leadership was. Nobody's really talking about that either.
No.
And, so I found a model. There's like 200 people in my class. And it was very intensive. And I saw her in action. I thought, I don't even remember her name at this point, but I went to her and said, will you mentor me? You are living feminine, leadership, very quiet, but, she knew who she was, and so for me, it was like doing my own work. And it really was amazing. So at that point, I was thinking I was supposed to get a marriage and family certificate and put up a shingle and be that. And I started down that path. I got accepted into a program that was very elite and la 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 la. And then I started on it, and immediately the first class, I loved it. The first class was how spiritual awakening it really is a lot of cause for psychosis and all kinds of other things. And it was a great class, and I really loved it. And but I kept getting, you're not supposed to go down this path. You are supposed to work with groups. And I was like, no, you don't get it. I got it all figured out. I'm in this program. And it was like, no,
Yeah.
no. So then I thought, all right. So I really prayed about it. And I'm very pragmatic, as you well know. It's like, okay, so how would I do that? What would make sense with that? So what I started doing was I started looking around, and I decided that University of Phoenix would be a path for me. And as an instructor. But that was very hard to get into. But, I already had the MBA. You had to have a master's in order to teach. And so I did all the application process. And then you had these panels of interviews. It was really, really tough. And then you had to do a mock class. And their model is you present for no more than 20 minutes on an hour, and the rest of it is you get the students, doing their
Engaged. Mm-hmm.
and so I got in, and then I did that pretty much full time for 5 years. And it was really like baptism by fire. It was just like these were middle managers who had to get a degree to keep moving, and they didn't play. So it's like, so it was like, so it
Yeah.
really, fine tuned my skills. And I also at that point, I was doing presenting at different conferences and different things. And the thing that really kicked over is I did a lot of stuff on dealing with difficult people, presenting on that, speaking on that. And I caught the eye of a person who ran a huge employee assistance program. And so I started working for them, kind of became their show pony and their workhorse at the same time, and doing a
Yeah.
lot of training in many different areas in
Mm-hmm.
self and professional development. And so that's really great. So I'm doing that. I'm working in workplaces. The thing that was so great about it was I got to go in, do the work. I could really shake and bake, get people really shook up, and then I got to leave. Instead of being in an organization where I might hit a wall where I'd have to stop. So I guess there's.
So what do you do? And there's people watching of working corporate, working all different entrepreneurs. So when you're in that environment, right, and people hit those walls, how do you bring love into that workplace?
You don't. What you do is you work on your own stuff. And what I found is difficult people are usually hurt people. And what they're doing, right, hurt people. And so what I would do is really listen to them. What's going on for you? Why are these things happening? And when people feel seen and heard, they, right? Then, and Dr. Kristen Miller and I do a lot of work together. We talk about going into the field of compassion, the field of love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you do it. I mean, I had one particular instance. I was I did a lot of work for cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at the city headquarters, and was doing handling difficult people. And the thing that's so crazy is a lot of times, and I would do for national organizations too, and all that. What they would end up happening is the organization would send their difficult people, and the difficult, right? So I'd have 30, 50, whatever it was, difficult people, but they all thought they were coming to fix the difficult people in their organizations.
Oh, wow.
It was quite fun.
Wow. Because they obviously had no self-awareness.
A lot of times they don't. And sometimes, I was able to help them have that awareness, but not always. One of my favorite lines is, you can't change people. If you can get them to change their socks, you've done it. That's a big move. So he's like, so we can't change anybody. We support them. They can change themselves or not. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this workshop and I'm doing a great job. And we get done, and then people leave. And then there's this guy that's really tall. And he comes up to me and he's really mad. And he's just, the point I'm thinking he might get violent. It was really scary. He was going, and and they, they demoted me and I didn't deserve it. And I'm like, okay, keep breathing. Be love. I didn't say it that way, but be kind.
Inside, yeah.
Listen, and I just he shared his story, and I listened, and I helped kind of facilitate him hearing himself. And I said, because I really did feel like he might hurt himself or somebody else. And so with employee assistance programs, there's you can get free counseling. I really believe, organizations, if you have 50 employees, you have to have one. If you do, please use it. They're wonderful. And so I got him, I was able to take him to somebody, it's all confidential, but let me tell you, there was that moment when I was like, do I run out of here? Do I start hitting him? Do I, and it was like, okay, you either walk your talk or you don't. And so I didn't bring love into the situation. I allowed grace to take the crap away so we could be loved together. Right.
Yeah.
And him realized my next step is to go get help.
Wow.
Where's my mic?
Yeah. Mic drop, right? Boom.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just posted on Facebook just a little bit ago one thing that our dear Sarah, a mutual friend of ours with Powerful Living. I just always said this thing, and it's I've done so much studying. A lot of it is just things kind of coming together. But one of the things that I'm highly committed to is to be kind, and I've done a lot of Buddhist practice, and their thing is at least don't do harm. And
Right.
so for me, it's like I'm always like, okay, I may have to say this thing, but how do I say it in the kindest way, or do I need to say it? Right?
I've been practicing that as well, right?
And it
Sometimes,
can be tough,
yes.
it can be tough. And so working with Kristen too, we've been doing this model that we're going to do a lot of presenting nationally and internationally here in the next couple of years. That for me, it's the, stop and really reflect and then act instead of act. And then you got to pick up, you got to clean
Yeah.
up
And that
or
was
get
who I
bail money.
was.
And my favorite line is, if I need bail money, I need to stop. Right. It's like if I'm about to enter that zone. So,
Yeah,
so how I do this is again, part of this you say is of self-awareness. And how do you do that? Well, it takes practice.
it
You've
does.
got to connect to your higher self. You've got to do a practice. I don't care what the practice is. There's so many great ones. Just find something to work on. I like the Course in Miracles. I'm doing the daily practice for the fourth time. But for me, how I make sense of it is I'm very pragmatic. When I see myself starting to argue, justify, defend, or lie, and what I mean by lying is I'm in denial. And
Yes.
with denial is an acronym, don't even know I'm lying, right?
Oh, I
So
love that.
is that good? I know. Thank you very much. And so but I've trained myself to start feeling it in my body, right? So, right, it isn't just the words you're saying, but
No.
right, you can feel when you're being aggressive. You can feel when your ego is going wackadoodle. That's a technical
Yes.
term, wackadoodle.
I
When
know. I love that term.
so when you start going to that space before you act, it's okay to have any thought. It's okay to have any feeling. It's when you don't check them at the door and deal with them, they become behaviors. And so that to me is love.
Oh,
It's an energy. It's being conscious of what you're doing and making a choice. I'm committed, like, you and I early in our relationship, and any relationship that I'm committed to, I always say this: if something doesn't seem right, if something doesn't feel right, if I'd said something, please tell me real time. Because the problem is we're all humans. We all have egos, which is not good or bad. It just is.
it just is.
And the further away from when an event happens, I am going to remember it so I look the best.
Yes.
So if you got to catch me right there and then I'm probably, I'm pretty self-aware. I'll go, oh, all right. So what are you perceiving? And, and I may agree with you or I may not, but, but I'm willing, I am committed to being kind. I am committed to being in that love energy. And say, I've never said this before, but I think grace is a way in. So again, part of the way I learn, I'm a big fan of learning styles, and I believe that we learn in many different ways, and we
Yes.
have our own learning styles. And part of how I learn is through dancing with stuff. And so in our conversation, I'm like, oh, and so there, again, I'm open to all kinds of conversation, but Gracie, that's, if so it's getting an extra E. So that came out of, I had an article, I co-authored an article in Nursing Magazine on how to build your hope skills. And Grace is the model that we use to do that. Because when you're teaching critical thinking, it freaks people out. So what we did is we had a model that was really critical thinking that we call Gracie. And the cliff notes are, yes,
Wow.
the G is for goals, the R is for resources, A is for action, C is control, the other C is change, and then E is evaluation.
That's powerful, Amy. Wow. I have loved our conversations, and I'm so grateful that we're recording this, and we need to record more of them because
If
you
you
are
invite me to
volume.
a party, girl, I'm there.
I know, I know. And I have to say, and I'm gonna say it here, sometimes I struggle with who I put on the show because I have access to and have relationships that are just beautiful souls all over the globe. And I could have had a lot of people. And I am very intentional. And I do, you know, tap into my higher self to say, okay, what is it someone needs to hear? What is it that someone needs to know? And like I told you, I reached out to you. I knew this was going to be about love. And I'm about love. And I'm
You are
about
loved.
being loved. People know that I get choked up on here sometimes, so it's okay.
Well, I love that. It makes me happy if you cry. In a good way.
Yeah, exactly. But this topic of love has been really, really important to me because we've talked about, self-care, self-love, self-practice. And it starts with us. Love starts with us. And I always struggled as a girl with that term of, I know I'm going all over the place now, but I, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And I struggled through that through my life because of bullying and because of things that that happened in my family dynamics and things. And so, but I would, even though people were mean to me, I never understood because I still loved them.
Oh, I know.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there like that. And when you start to, and I never felt I had like my tribe or my people, and it's been the last 7 years that I'm finding these beautiful, amazing people all over the world that I'm connecting to. And I want others to know that is possible. There's
It's
that.
our birthright. That's what we came here to do.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for each other to reach out. And that's what I say a lot of what you and I are doing together is helping people to do that.
Yeah.
It's just, finding the right people. You are love and you can't help yourself. And the bottom line is we all are. We're just coated with stuff. And so it's like we got to get this stuff all of us. And then
Yeah.
being kind, being loved is easy because it's who we are.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. So
it's that simple and it's that hard.
Yeah. And I love that you did that. You said it's energy, it's commitment, and it's action.
Yeah. One after the other.
Yes. And it is action. You have to take action. Yes, you can be it, but being it is sharing it. It's taking action. It's being that kind. It's, how do we make a difference in somebody else's life?
Well, I have to tell you, my dear friend Kristen, she was born on Valentine's Day. So she is love.
Yeah.
So, and she's brilliant and she's tough and she's all kinds of things. But I had posted, I saw this sign, I think it was at Hallmark, and took a picture, and it was kind people are my people. And I posted that.
Yeah.
And she said, well, all people are our people. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's my kind people that help me be kind to the other people. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I hear ya that, but because we're all love, we're all kind. We're just kind of, again, hurt people.
Yeah. And there's times that you're going to have really great times where you are love and you can put that out. But then there's times that we have the shadows, we have the darkness, we have, no matter who you are in the world, no matter how much of a guru or spiritual leader or personal development leader, whoever you are in the world, you're going to have those moments.
Oh my God. If you think you don't, you are in big trouble because you do. And you're going to, and I think that's it. You just have to, I'm human too, and I'm doing the best I can. But, like for me is like connect to source, whatever that means to you. Mm-hmm. Have a group of people that love you unconditionally. And that also means, you might want to look at that. Right. Isn't it right? Yeah. In a loving, kind way. And that you're doing a practice. And, like just as simple as for me in the morning, I sit in my prayer chair and I ask for guidance. At 3:00, I have tea time where I stop and I look at, my today's intention. Am I doing what I said I was going to do? What else needs to get done? Take some nice deep breaths, and then I go back in.
Oh, you and I have talked because you're helping me, right, with to
With
tweak some
time
practices.
management. Yeah,
Well,
it's like,
and it's practice, right? What
it
are we
is.
What are we practicing?
Exactly.
And I have been not practicing as efficiently as I'd like to be.
Well,
And
you know
so,
what? Let's just give you a little heads up, girlfriend, that sometimes practice isn't efficient.
wow. Yeah. You always have those. Oh my gosh.
Gandhi said, are you ready? This is one of my favorite things. Gandhi said, I have so much to do today. I better go back and meditate for another hour.
Oh, how many of us have said, I have so much I have to do today?
Every day.
Yeah.
And who makes our schedule? We do.
Yeah.
That boss of mine.
Well, and I've used this before, right? Because you've given me some things, to start, putting into my practice. And for me, I have found that I have to start putting alarms in, because
I do. Yes.
if it's not a habit, if it's not practice for me, I have to put alarms in. And if
I
I
do the same
don't,
thing.
yeah.
So at 2:45 every day, I have an alarm that goes off. And it says
Okay.
at 3:00 is my tea time.
Okay. I drink tea throughout the day, but you want to know something? I'm going to take that one too. So, oh my goodness. Anything else you think we should be covering today before we end this? I don't want to end it, but I want to make sure it's short enough people want to stay to the
I think
end.
the bottom line is, remember, you are love. It's an eternal flame. And you might have lost your way a little bit because of things that have happened. And I'm so sorry for anything that happened to you. But you still are love, and we love you. We're here for you.
Yeah. So if someone said, "Oh my gosh, I want to reach out to Amy. I would like to connect with her." I did not put it in our little banners, but I am going to put it down below. Can we just offhand? How do you want
Yeah,
them to
certainly go
connect
to
with
my
you?
website, amyfrost.com. I always try to make things as simple as possible. And my email is amy@amyfrost.com.
Okay. So amyfrost.com.
Yep.
Right. And that's how they can reach out to you. I'm going to put that in there really quick. And then Amy@amyfrost, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Simple, easy. If it's complicated, I ain't going to do it. I'm telling you right now.
No, I would agree with you. And sometimes I tend to make things more complicated.
That's because you're so smart.
No.
Oh, yes, you are. Just take it.
Okay, I receive it. All
Thank
right.
you. All right. I love you. I love anybody
you.
who's watching this. And remember,
Yes.
you are love.
You are love, and you're love in action.
Hopefully. Please.
Yes.
We get love in action.
Right?
Or don't take action.
I know, right? Okay.
Tap into love, then act.
I love that. Thank you, Amy. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this today. And it's very intentional when we come on, because there's nothing scripted here. We are literally coming from our higher self. We are coming from a place of love, and hope that you receive that today. So have a great rest of your day. Be love, and remember, this season of love can last the whole year long.